Anna Prosser is a video producer and host at Twitch. She is also a co-founder of Misclicks and a cast member of Dice Camera Action. So I talked to her about her D&D player advice, what kind of DM Chris Perkins is, and also how Twitch has brought new audiences to D&D.
The most important thing to think about when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons on live stream is think about the people who are sitting in the room with you. Because when people are watching on Twitch, it's a little like an audience sitting in a theater, but it's also a little like having a whole bunch of people hanging out in your living room and helping you play the game. Because as people get attached to your characters and to the storyline, they want to help, they want to give you suggestions, they want to laugh along with you or cry along with you. And so thinking about including everyone when you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, I think is what makes a really successful D&D stream. Of course, there's other things like production and how do you make sure that the sound quality and the video quality are right, and how do you make sure that you're communicating in sync with other players. But I think for me, the best indicator of when a D&D stream is really, really good is when people that I've never even met feel connected to and empowered by the story. My friends are all over the country, and we move around so much that it's so hard to stay in touch. So having D&D as something where we meet every week, and no matter where we are, we can, conference in and play together. It's been a huge help for me in my life. My favorite types of characters have the ability to be spontaneous and hilarious and make decisions that I wouldn't make, because that's the point of D&D, right, is to explore the human condition in a way that you can't in your real life. But also characters who have deep emotional depth, something to really play with, something to explore. For example, Evelyn, my paladin, who I play in Dice Camera Action, she's kind of hilarious because her flaw is that she's fatally optimistic. She believes that everything will be okay at any given time, and if she runs through that door and fights all of those goblins, everything will turn out fine, and it's going to be fine. So that creates hilarious, funny situations, but it also sets her up for very interesting emotional situations where if she really believes everything's going to be fine and then it's not fine, how does she redefine that? How does she react to it? Does it break her perception of reality? And how does she relate to other people? If she thinks that they love her all the time and they don't love her all the time, what does that mean? And it helps us all explore aspects of our own personality, and I like that. I am the biggest fangirl of Chris Perkins, and getting to play with him every week, I try not to just fangirl about it too much, but he's incredible. And he constantly talks about how his job is to make sure everyone's having a good time. And it works. All of us are having a great time. And he fills in all of the places where we need other characters and all of the places where we need prodding in order to fully experience our characters. And he gets to know our characters just as well as we know them in a way that he can then put us in situations that are terrifying or joyful or have emotions that we actually experience. And I think there was one situation that he put Evelyn in. Evelyn, again, being fatally optimistic, a servant of Lathander, a shining beacon of good. She got turned into a werewolf. She woke up one morning and didn't know where she had been the night before. She's covered in blood, and there was a baby missing. So, as Anna, that was terrifying. How do I deal with that? As Evelyn, it was challenging. How does she deal with that? And as a fan of gaming and of narrative, it was like, how did you come up with that? Where did that come from? How did you know that that would be so difficult and so enthralling for me to deal with? And I think that's what makes Chris Perkins so amazing as a creator of narrative. And then the fact that he's a killer role player and then has an amazing sense of other people and what they're thinking just makes playing with him fascinating and so enjoyable. I think to get the most out of a D&D game, it's important to think about what your character's flaw is and what's going to be most challenging for you. Where is the character going to make decisions that are not like what you would make? And what kind of decisions do you want to be challenged to make? I think the common pitfall is to make a character that's everything you wish you could be, which is fun, don't get me wrong. You want to be, in D&D, you want to have an adventurer. You want to have someone who does things that are cool and enjoyable, and you should definitely do that. But finding a pitfall, finding a flaw, something that's challenging, that's what makes it really, really fun. And that's where you get in those situations where you're like, I know that I would not do this, and I know my party is going to be so mad at me, but my character would definitely charge in, or my character would definitely run away, or whatever that is. So I think it's important to think about where will your character fail, and then it will make it really fun. It's hard to admit because I want to be one of the Dungeons and Dragons OGs, right? I want to be from the old days. But I'm a prime example of how Twitch has changed Dungeons and Dragons, in that I saw someone playing Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch, and I thought, oh, that's way more accessible than I thought it was. That's something I totally could do, and if I mess up, it's okay, and I don't have to know all the rules because someone will help me, and it's more about playing together in a group. So I think that for me, the way that Twitch has changed Dungeons and Dragons the most is it's made it more accessible and more open and more warm, and it's showed off kind of the community that Dungeons and Dragons can create, and made that open to kind of a whole new generation of people, or a group of people that may have felt like it was impenetrable.